Today's show is sponsored by the ABV Barrel Shop. The ABV Barrel Shop is located in the St. Louis metro community of Arnold, Missouri, and is the world's first single barrel only liquor store. This business is owned and operated by Steve Akeley and Jim Fosnot. Head over to abvbarrelshop.com to sign up for their email and text distribution list. That way you'll know what they have in stock, what classes are coming up, and what barrel picks they have in the works. We are also sponsored by The Bar to Go. The Bar to Go offers a fully customizable carrying case that allows you to take your favorite distilled spirits or cocktail ingredients with you. Whether you're looking for yourself, a customized gift, or logo items for your business or event, The Bar to Go can help. Check them out at thebar2go.com. Use the number 2 when you type out The Bar to Go. Did you know Neely Family Distillery now ships its popular distilled spirits directly to you? To order, simply call 859-394-3258. Tell them the ABV Network sent you. And now, on to the show.
Let's drink!
Welcome to the Bourbon Daily, the podcast about everything bourbon delivered to you every day of the week. Today on the show, we discuss whether or not it is a good idea for Blue Run to build a new distillery. My name is McNew. Please join me in welcoming my co-host, Steve Akeley, along with our special guests, Miss Beka Sue and Kathy Cool.
Hey gang, what's up?
Hey.
Hello. So Blue Run has been really almost on an unprecedented upturn in the bourbon industry. Very good stuff going on with them. So we'll talk about this idea. They are getting ready to invest $51 million in a new distillery, and we'll talk about that in Georgetown, Kentucky, and whether we think that's a good idea or not. We'll get to that after the break. For right now, Miss Beka Sue said there's something she wanted to talk about. What is that, Miss Beka Sue?
Wanted to dig into our past here and see if anyone has a particular embarrassing story from like your childhood. And I'm not talking about your preteen. I'm not talking about your teenager years. I'm talking about when you were young, like you were actually young. I'll start mine off so you guys can think of yours. When I had one of my birthdays, I want to say I was maybe turning like maybe 9 years old ish. I had a big sleepover birthday party. It was the very first sleepover birthday party I'd ever had. And everyone was going to be sleeping in the basement on the floor. We all had our sleeping bags out, and we were watching the Goonies for the first time. And I apparently had just way too much sweets, like way too much cake or something. And while we were watching the Goonies, I hurled, and that was my exact words, was I hurled almost on top of one of my friends' heads.
Oh.
And it like freaked out one of my other friends, who's actually still one of my best friends to this day. And she still brings it up. And she's like, it's so funny because you literally said, Mom, I hurled. And like, I would never remember it, but Kara brings it up all the time to me because she thinks it's the funniest fucking thing that I used the word hurl when I was like 9 years old at my birthday. And I was so embarrassed. Like I was absolutely mortified. And I was like, no one's going to talk to me ever again because I almost hurled on Charity's head. And I hurled on her sleeping bag, and everyone's going to hate me. And Kara had said to me like that night, like, it's okay. Don't worry. Everyone's going to forget about it. No one's going to remember forever. But guess who remembered forever? Kara. Kara's remembered forever. No one else has remembered. Kara's been the person who's brought it up in my life.
She keeps it alive. She keeps it going.
Let me live that down, that I almost hurled on one of my friends' heads.
Keeps you humble.
And it was absolutely mortifying as a child. And also the fact, I don't know why I said hurl. I don't generally use I only use it when I remember that story.
2000s thing. That was like a word we used.
It's like the weird, like, but I don't like, I'm like, I puked, like barfed. I don't know, literally almost anything else. I never say I hurled. But Kara has kept that story alive for me for my entire life for the past, 25 years or however long, I say like close to 25 years of just saying like, oh my God, remember that time you hurled at your birthday party? And I'm like, my God, just fucking bringing it up. I don't think about it anymore. So I don't know if you guys got any of those stories
All right.
where it's just like, oh God, that was embarrassing.
McNew's got one apparently.
I do. There's always that kid that cries to go home. I was that kid. So I would go to like my best friend's party, birthday, or random weekend, be like, yeah, she can stay the night tonight. Like I'd pack my pajamas, get in my pajamas, we're going to bed. Midnight. Every time I would cry because I wanted to go home. I wanted my mom. It happened till I was like 14. Have to come get me at midnight. And like as extroverted as I am now, and I'm like, I'll sleep anywhere. I don't care. But I was that kid that had to go home. I was
had to go home. Yeah, there's always one. You think
summer kid. I could not stay anywhere unless it was like my grandma's or my mom. Couldn't stay anywhere.
Yeah.
I was the kid that ruined the summer party, had to go home.
Yeah.
People remember it too.
When you're young, that stuff happens. Not till age of 14.
I was definitely that kid that was like midnight, call my mom, I gotta go home.
Yeah.
And she'd come get me every time.
Wow. Well, Kathy, you put your hand up right away.
I did, but that's when I thought, we could talk about when we got embarrassed when we were older at like 14. So do you want to know when I was embarrassed when I was 14, or do you want to know when I was embarrassed at 9? I've got stories.
What about 27?
Let's hear your best story. Let's hear your best one.
All right. So I was, I think I was 16 for this one. My best friend lived across the street, and she had this minivan, and we had to babysit these two kids. So it was a great summer gig. They had a pool. In-ground pool. So we went over and we babysat them. We played in the pool, which meant we played in the pool and they stayed alive because I don't
drown them.
I had no interest in keeping the kids safe. That wasn't my priority. My priority was swimming in the pool. And we get out, and I had one of those round hairbrushes that was really narrow. And I was taking my hair and rolling it down the brush and then rolling it up. Do we all know where this is going? Yes. Uh-huh. I rolled my hair down on this round brush and it locked on my head. Finally, the parents came home. The brush stuck on my head. And I'm like, excuse me, parent, would you try and get the brush off of my head, please? And so
it gets that stuck.
It's that, these things lock.
They're like fucking down. Velcro, Steve. They were Velcro brushes. They're awful. Torture devices. I remember them.
He couldn't get it off, and his kids are sitting there. I'm sitting in this chair, and they're standing next to me, and they're like, Daddy, why is she crying? It's because the hairbrush is stuck to her head, honey. We get in her van and we drive home, and I'm trying to cover the hairbrush so that passersby might not notice that I have a hairbrush stuck on my head. Because when you're 15, 16 years old, I was convinced everybody could see me.
Well, sure.
I went home. My dad took a fork and he plucked every hair out of that hairbrush and got it unstuck to my head.
Was that painful?
No.
What a good dad.
He was a good dad.
So
that's a good dad, too.
I'm hearing like hair and fork, and I'm like Dingle Hopper, Little Mermaid situation.
It was. I definitely had some damaged hair.
Well, what a good dad to do that
on the top of my head.
I know some dads that would just be like, "Well, let's grab the scissors."
Right.
Yeah. I can fix this.
My dad, he'd like, just cut that shit out. It's probably fine.
No, he was like, "We're gonna figure this out. Let me get my tools."
Good dad.
And he pulled out a fork.
Gosh.
Okay. I have never told this story on the air. Matter of fact, I've forgotten it until Beka said this, and I started racking my brain, and I came up with one. This would change my life in a very different way. That's something that I still live with to this day. And this happened when I was in the second grade. And I would say, and to that point, I was just like anyone else. But since that time, I will use a urinal in a public restroom, not the stalls, if you know what I'm saying. So, but in second grade, I was just like anybody else. I had to take a number 2. I had to take a shit. So I go in, when you get your time, it's bathroom break, in second grade. So I go in there. I gotta take a dump. So I go in there and I'm doing my business, in the stall. And also I hear this work in the stall. Occupado. Someone's in here. And then all of a sudden the door is getting kicked. It's goom, goom. Yeah, and I've got my pants down. I'm on the shitter. And then this bully finally kicks the door open, and then everyone there's gathered around at this point in the whole class, and they're laughing. Look at him! And I'm on the toilet. There's no place to run to. I'm down there with my pants down on the toilet, and I've never used a public restroom for number 2 since that day. My body figured out how to just.
That's literally some trauma. That's fair.
That is
PTSD. Where was the adult?
Oh my God.
Do you want us to beat this man up still? We can do that.
Sure. I remember his name. I don't want to say it on the air.
If you want to give us a name off air,
I'll have to look that up on Facebook.
Bully the shit out of him.
He sounds like he's probably way older than us. We can take him. It's probably fine.
Oh yeah.
We got it.
Of course. Of course.
What a
he's probably a
dick.
sad man now. Yeah.
And since then, Steve has never shit the same.
Oh no, never. Never would I go in that. I was worried that someone would be kicking in the door.
Shop?
What's that?
That's a public toilet. Are you using the ABV?
No, I never crapped in the ABV shop. No, hell no. That's what I got my home base for. So yeah.
Wow. Yeah. He drives home for that.
Yeah, I do live close if I could. I guess if I ever get to that point where I gotta go, I haven't had that call, if you will. I would just drive home, I would guess, because I'm only like 7 minutes from the house. So yeah, I think I'd.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And your life changed.
My life changed from that point forward. It's worked out well for me. For the most part, it's worked out pretty good. So yeah. I mean, because then I don't ever feel the need to go in a public situation. It's like I don't. It's not like I think about it, like, okay, need to shut that out. It's just I don't have to go. Yeah. There you go. That's a lot of information.
Quite the turn.
A lot of information. Really quiet on that one.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to bring this thing back together. We're going to talk about Blue Run. Hopefully, they got some really nice toilets there. Maybe I'll break my streak. We'll get to that in just a few. Let's talk about the people who make these shows happen. First up is the ABV Barrel Shop. It is the most unique shopping experience in the world of bourbon, as the ABV Barrel Shop only sells single barrels. Owners Steve Akeley and Jim Fosnot select. With over 100 distilleries on board to sell us barrels, we are home to the most unique and diverse barrel pick selections in the bourbon world. By signing up for our email, you will always know what we have in stock. In addition to the single barrels, we'll have a gift shop featuring ABV Barrel Shop as well as ABV Network merchandise. We are partnering with vendors like Art Eatables and Old Man Bay Signs to bring you unique items you can't find anywhere else. We'll also have a 24-seat classroom where we are offering educational and fun classes like Breakfast and Bourbon, a series where we pair donuts and bourbon, customer barrel picks, and opportunities to learn from master distillers and other bourbon dignitaries. Best of all, we feature a tasting bar where you can try before you buy. All of this is located in the St. Louis metro community of Arnold, Missouri. If you are in the St. Louis area, please stop by to say hi. If you're traveling in from outside the area, please take advantage of our hotel rates with the Drury Inn and Pear Tree Inn, less than a mile from our shop. This can be done via the links in our Visit St. Louis section on our website. Head over to abvbarrelshop.com to plan your trip. The ABV Barrel Shop. It's where single barrels live. Hi, this is Steve Akeley, owner of the ABV Network. We're sponsored by the Stave and Thief Society. This is where you, a bourbon enthusiast, can expand your knowledge and emerge a bourbon steward. In 2017, I completed my Executive Bourbon Steward certification. It's the most comprehensive bourbon certification program available and connects you with an expansive network of bourbon enthusiasts and professionals. Check out the full listing of in-person and online certifications and join the society today by enrolling at staveandthief.com. Okay, let's talk about the Neely Family Distillery. In 2018, I met Royce Neely at an industry event. He started appearing on our shows, and we became friends during my frequent trips to Kentucky. Today, he is amongst the leaders of young distillers leaving their mark on the bourbon industry. A visit to Neely Family Distillery yields insight on their unique family history, why their products are special, and gives you the opportunity to taste their whiskey, moonshine, and creams. Check them out at NeelyFamilyDistillery.com or visit them in Sparta, Kentucky.
I'm Davey Waltz,
And I'm Adina.
and you're listening to the Bourbon Daily.
Welcome back to the Bourbon Daily. Today we're talking about, is it a good idea for Blue Run to start a distillery?
Yeah. It's a
Only
$51 million
they have
budget.
individual toilets.
Yes. Yeah.
With
$1 million for the
multiple-
toilets.
Yeah. Very private stalls, nice stalls.
Yes.
Well, I
Luxurious.
have a story
That's
about.
literally where the 1 million came in, was to build nice stalls.
Yeah. It's nice stalls.
I have a story about really nice stalls.
Okay.
Can I interject that before?
Sure.
Okay.
Blue Run. Yeah. That's fine.
So I have a good friend from high school. She lives in New York City, and
Okay.
every once in a while, a couple of us girls from high school get together and we go visit her. And on one of the trips, we went to Tiffany's.
Okay.
And we're in Tiffany's, and my friend, who I will not name and who does not listen, said, "Man, I have to poop." And I said, "You are pooping in Tiffany's.
Oh,
You've
yeah.
got
It's
to do
luxurious. It's a luxurious.
This is like the way to do this." So they have the doors.
McNew's
that
pooping
go-
right now. In fact, she just left, so that's means she's pooping.
So they have the doors that go all the way down. There's no gaps, right? It's
Right.
like a private room, but I'm sure it echoes. And she goes in and she does her business. And as she's like working on it, she didn't lock the door all the way. And someone tries to come in. So she slams the door closed, like on their face, and says,
Sure.
"I'm in here." Well, and then when they're so small like that and there's no ventilation, whoever was waiting outside that door knew she was pooping in Tiffany's.
Right. Yeah. She's like,
But
oh,
those are
pungent.
some really nice bathrooms.
Pungent. Yeah. That's the problem with not having the floor ventilation, though. Yeah. It's just
Blue
going
Run
to
is
stay
going to
there.
really appreciate that we talked about.
This is gonna help
on the
them
show.
out.
I
I
think
love
that
it.
those are
I
the
did this,
bathrooms
but I'm
they
not,
should
because
install.
They're going to be happy that we expounded on it even after the break.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I really had more to add to this, but I'm not going to. But
Let's not add any more.
that's
Yeah.
not.
That.
Yeah. Blue Run, with their $50 million distillery, $1 million on the toilets, is building this. And what do we think about that? It's kind of cool because, we have some knowledge of those folks. I've had the Blue Run team on a couple different events. Of course, Beka had a lot of interaction with them because they were working with Neely Family Distillery for quite a while. I was there the first day that they ever bottled anything, which is kind of cool. So, yeah. So
They're great guys.
we've got some history there, which is neat. But, and again, great success. It's been amazing what they've been able to do. Their branding is just really on point. It's really hit the mark with consumers. But now it becomes a different time. Now they're going to be, making their own stuff. What do we think about this?
Serious stuff.
Huge investment.
I think it's exciting for them. I know that they have they've been wanting to do this for a while now.
Mhm.
At one point we had actually went with them to look at some different locations that they could maybe do some things with.
Right.
I think that it's exciting. I think that I think it could be a really big deal for them, obviously. I mean, another distillery is always a good thing, I think.
Right.
But obviously there's the issue of getting supplies
Yes. It's not easy these days.
like barrels.
Barrels. Yeah, that's the key.
So that's a big deal, obviously.
Yeah, that is a big deal. So we don't know the answers to that. I'm guessing they don't actually know the answers to that because they're probably thinking, here's what I'm guessing they're thinking. No insight at all here. I haven't had any conversations with anybody. My guess is they don't have the barrel situation solved. They're going into this, but it's not like they're going to need barrels tomorrow, next month, maybe even not next year. It's going to take a while, when you have a big project like that to build the distillery. And then once you build it, then you got to get everything installed, the stills and all that. And then you got to start running stuff. Then you got to think about barrels. So I'm guessing they're thinking this will be resolved by the time I'm sure they're working on it already, but I feel like they're probably not overly consumed with the idea, thinking that we've got time. We'll get this worked out between now and then is what they're thinking, I would guess.
Yeah, I mean, because here's the thing is that like right now it's very difficult to get barrels.
Right.
But that hopefully is going to be resolved sooner
Yes.
than later.
For those of us that have been in doing this for a while, in 2015 there was a huge barrel shortage.
Mhm.
I don't know. I've been hearing that the price of the barrels has doubled. I don't know that we got to that level in 2015, but it was tough, and that resolved itself, and things seem to be going okay until we get to this point. Now, it's crazy. So, but
Yeah,
I think it'll get resolved at some point. It has to, right?
I would hope so. I mean, but also like if you're building a $51 million distillery, or redoing a space or whatever they're doing, that's not going to be something they're not going to be done with that
No,
in a matter of 6 months or a year.
that's
Like,
going to take a while.
Building is going to take a while. Like that's a big fucking build.
So,
Right.
And that's also
Can
like
I-
getting stills from wherever they're getting stills from. Like Vendome is not an immediate thing either. So you have to get a still built, you have to get your building built or redone, whatever they're doing. And so like that's going to take a while. And so maybe I'm sure that they have full, like they're aware of the barrel situation, I would imagine. And
Yeah.
so maybe they're either they already have something locked down, or they're hoping that it's going to resolve itself by the time that they open the distillery.
Yeah.
And just for people who may not know, and that could be people like me, they are sourcing, and they're a one and done. They're a one and done kind of thing. So they have so many bottles of something, and then they move on and they change the
Correct.
butterfly, and everything is different.
Correct.
And they've been using Jim Rutledge, who was most recently out of Castle and Key, or is my information
Jim
out of
Rutledge.
date?
Yeah, Jim Rutledge did do some contract distilling at Castle and Key. You're correct about that. And that's when they have been using some of the stuff that he made as well. But they've also been buying things on the open market from, some different distilleries and things like that. So it's almost like what they've been doing is, if you will, batches where things come out and they release a batch, but then the next batch isn't supposed to taste like the previous one. It's all these things are supposed to be unique. Hence the butterfly changing color and things like that.
So when
it's
they open
different.
their own distillery, are they then going to choose like flavor profiles and
I would guess.
maintain a butterfly image with that profile? Are they
I,
going to stick with this?
I would think
All
that
these
there'll
one and done.
probably be a combination of that.
Yeah, I think they'll keep it the same, but maybe variate it a little bit.
Yeah, like maybe just switch up the color for like different, like high rye or wheat or whatever they're
Right.
doing. I guess I don't know for sure.
Then they may get
I would
into
assume
single
they do.
barrels at that point too, I would guess, and that'll be a whole program that goes on.
oh.
And they may continue to still source. I mean, there are many companies that make their own stuff, but also continue to source, like a Willet or something like that. They're making their own, bourbon or rye right now, but they also continue to source things and bring in different things. And maybe Blue Run will do something like that, where they kind of
Oh.
feel like they don't want to get totally away from what they're doing. I don't know.
I feel like when people say like, oh, they're going to make a distillery, they think they're going to do everything from scratch. I think for Blue Run, it's smart for them to have a visitor center, a visitor experience, because they have such a cult following.
Right.
So I think it's beneficial for them for the visitor aspect, not so much the distilling aspect, which they can do. They'll figure that out. But just having a place for their fans to come, I think is a great asset to them.
Yeah, I do too. It'll
Yeah,
strengthen
tasting
even more.
room.
Let's call it a tasting room. Let's do that. So that makes more sense.
Is there one of those butterfly houses on site?
Oh, that would be
Conservatorium.
awesome.
Yeah, that would not be a bad idea, would it?
Now you're
I
thinking.
would love that.
Yeah, they could do
Blue
something
Run
like that.
Butterfly
That would be cool.
Conservatorium.
Why not?
I think
Seems
that's
like
what
you
they
could-
should do.
Well, seems
I
like
think
that
that'd
should
be
be part of it. Yeah.
If they're in Northern Kentucky, there's one in Cincinnati. They could probably take some pointers from. So that should be easy for them to do.
There you go. Should be
That would
easy
be
for them to
pretty
do.
cool.
That would not be bad. So, yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see. Again, we don't know exactly what they're doing, and it's going to be a while until this thing gets done. As Beka said, this is not a short-term project. This thing's going to take some time. $51 million, nothing to sneeze at. That's a big distillery, so it'll be interesting to see what they come up with, where they are at. I have no idea if that's it's in Georgetown. That's right. They're going to be in Georgetown, so they've got the site located already. So. Yeah, it'll be fun to see how this all comes together for them, and it's yet another area that we can go and visit. So I like the idea of that. So we'll wrap this one up, as we always do, by talking about where people can find us. Kathy, we'll start with you. Where can people find you?
I'm on Instagram at KKCaskStrength.
Miss Beka Sue.
You can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at Miss Beka Sue, 1K, no C's.
McNew.
I'm on Instagram at McNew ABV.
All right, for me, I'm an easy guy to find. I'm at Steve Akeley on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. I've got a website, steveakeley.com. We've also got a company website. That thing's abvnetwork.com. Check it out because everything that we do is out there. Previous shows, blogs, so much more, abvnetwork.com. McNew, anything else to say before we get out of here?
I would like to remind the audience to please give us a 5-star review. That includes comments. It helps new people find the show, which is very important to us. And if you like what we're doing, we ask that you please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/the ABV Network.
All right, great job today, gang. For audience, we'll have a brand new show for you tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Until then, take care, everybody. See ya.
Bye.
Peace. Before we finish the show, let's talk about some great companies that support the ABV network. First up is Moonshine Still Pro. Moonshine Still Pro has a full line of products to help the home distiller. Whether you want to experiment on the stove in your kitchen or you're looking for a bigger setup in your backyard, owner Russell Creed and his team can help. They have multiple still offerings, accessories, and even grain from their partners at Goldstone Mill to assist you in making whiskey on par with your favorite distillery. They can also help you with some fabricated parts you probably can't make yourself if you are attempting a DIY still project. Learn more or order your still or parts at moonshinestillpro.com. Another friend of ours is the Goldstein family at Goldstone Mill. The Goldsteins offer a variety of heritage and heirloom grains to make the finest whiskeys in the world. Plus, they are more than just a grain company. They are truly consultants to make sure the grains they are providing to you or your business meet your highest expectations. Additionally, they work with mills around the country, ensuring shipping is as low as possible for their customers. If you're a distillery, brewery, or even doing this at home, Goldstone can assist you. Check them out at goldstonemill.com, call them at 217-254-6613, or check in via email at hello@goldstonemill.com. Last but not least is the ABV Barrel Shop. While we don't get to play in the allocated bourbon game because we aren't selling the other products you have to do to get those, we do have access via our friendships in the bourbon industry to some really cool stuff. Have you ever seen your favorite craft distiller selling some really cool limited offerings only in their gift shop? I'm talking things like the hazmat offering Distillery 291 did for their 10th anniversary, or Neely Family Distillery's Papaw's birthday barrel. They don't have enough of it to send it out to distributors, so they only sell it via their gift shop. Well, companies like Distillery 291 and Neely Family Distillery have agreed to sell us 2 or 3 cases of these offerings moving forward, meaning our store will have the access to some of the rarest whiskeys in the world. Way more difficult to come by than the allocated bourbon offerings with the national release. Yes, they will be extremely tough to come by, but if you're a customer of our store, you'll have a chance to get them. Get signed up for our email or text list over at abvbarrelshop.com so you don't miss out.
The Bourbon Daily is part of the ABV Network. For more information or to become a sponsor, please visit abvnetwork.com. Thanks for listening and cheers.
This has been a Steve Akeley production.